Jeff's Superscript is brought to you by Black Cat Comics and Collectibles. In my opinion, the best comic shop and clubhouse on the internet. Make sure to follow them at Black Cat Burbank on Instagram and ask them about their Stray Cats Club for special perks. Hi, I'm Jeff, and welcome to another one of my videos where I give you the opportunity to test your comic book grading skills up against actual results from CGC. Well, kind of. We're back here on location at Black Cat's Comics and Collectibles. The last time we were here, my good friend Octavio had volunteered his 9.8 pre-screen submission for one of these videos. Well, we're back and we're doing the same thing again. We have another 25 books which Octavio submitted to CGC as part of a 9.8 pre-screen. So this isn't so much of a test your comic book grading skills video as it is an test Octavio's grading skills video. But we are going to do analysis of some of the reject books that are in here. I know for a fact from Octavio that he didn't score a 25 out of 25, that some of them were rejected. So we're going to look at those books, we're going to analyze those books, see if we can't figure out why it didn't get a 9.8. And that'll be our opportunity to learn a little bit more about CGC and their grading practices in this video. So that you know as well, none of these books were pressed. So all of these books that did get their 9.8 got their 9.8 even without a press, and it's possible that some of them could get a press and still get a 9.8 after a press, but we'll assess that later. In addition, just because turnarounds are an important thing to people and CGC these days, the door-to-door turnaround on these books from the time Octavio sent them back to the time they arrived home to him was approximately 4 months. Now, he actually got this done really pretty quickly. It's a little bit better than what CGC's average is right now. So it's possible. I've heard a lot of good stuff about CGC's turnarounds improving a little bit these days. So I'm glad to hear that. And Octavio is actually an example of that. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to unbox these slabs. We're going to take a look at them. Now, there are only 4 different titles in this submission and multiples of all of those. So we're going to take a look at those 4 titles. I'm going to check them out. I'm going to share them with you. Then we're going to take a look at all of the books that did not pass the 9.8 pre-screen, that are still raw. We're going to see how many of them there are and see what Octavio's score is. And then we will analyze those books, those raw books, and see if we can't figure out why they didn't get the 9.8. All right, let's go ahead and jump right in and do this unboxing. Now, as always, I am interested to see how CGC packs things, how securely. You won't be able to see it, but down here, this was shipped UPS. There is a blunted corner there, but I have a feeling like I got a submission back from UPS recently, and every single corner of the box was blunted. So, insurance is never a bad idea, folks. I would always recommend having insurance on your shipments. But these 25 book submissions from CGC are actually packed pretty well. They have this stuff all the way around all sides of the books in here. Okay, well, I can tell right away, you know, this is a 25 book submission. Octavio did pretty well. We will give final tallies here at first, but it looks like he did pretty well. There's enough extra space in here. 25 books would fit in here, I believe. There's enough extra space for a little extra bubble wrap, which I'm really glad they put that in there to make sure things don't shift around. It's over here on this side. And then you see the raw books there on the other side, which we'll check out in just a moment. Okay, let's take a look at the 9.8s that Octavio did get. First, we are going to see here, what is this? What is this? King in Black, Gwenum versus Carnage #1. This amazing Inyuk Lee cover. I remember seeing this. I'm a big fan of Inyuk Lee. I think that he's really pretty amazing. Oh, this is the second printing, by the way, to clarify, of King in Black, Gwenum versus Carnage. This is a really cool cover. Really, the art on this is amazing. Very, very, very nice. All right, let's see what the next book in here is. Got 1, 2, 3, 4 more of those. So it looks like maybe 5 of those. We'll check that in a second. Next here we have Iron Man, issue number 7. This is the variant. This is the Jen Bartel Women's History Month variant cover of Iron Man issue number 7. This is really, really nice as well. I can tell Octavio likes his artists, and I do too. I can't blame him one single bit. So this is a nice book here. All right. Very cool, very cool. We'll see what else we have here. This is King in Black, Gwenum versus Carnage, issue number 1. This is the Inyukli variant cover. This is the first print of this. So, I mean, this is, it makes sense that these were submitted together. This is just a nice combination to have these two books together right here. Really nice. God, those are good. Those are good. All right. And let's see what the other book is in here. I see it right here. It is Avengers, issue number 43. This is another Jen Bartel Women's History Month variant cover right there as well. Very cool. Goes really, really well with this other one. Now, Octavio submitted a lot more books. He has a lot more books that are coming back to CGC from CGC. These are just the ones that he submitted in this particular 25 book submission. So very cool. Great art, great covers, great books, and multiples to boot. Let's move on and take a look at these, the rejects, and see first, we're going to take a look and see how many of them there are and see basically what Octavio's score was, as I like to put it. Now, I said this in the last video that I did with Octavio's books. In my estimation, in a 9/8 pre-screen, let's not drop those on the floor, Jeff. How about that? In a 9/8 pre-screen, the way I see it, if you do better than 80%, you've done well. And especially since Octavio is not pressing these books, or having these books pressed, I should say, he's doing really, really well. I can tell that already. So let's see how many of these books, raw books, are in here. They pack this up pretty well, which is good. Sometimes people put their books in these Gemini mailers and they don't wrap them up very well. And they shift around in there, and that's really, really bad for the books. Wow, no, he did good. He did good. So in order, he could get as many as 5 of them rejected and still do better than 80%. It looks like he got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rejects. So he scored exactly 80%, which to me is a win. Like I said, especially when we're talking about unpressed books. There's one of these, oh boy, one of these, another one of these, and another one of these. So 3 of this book right here. That looks like it's the first print of that. And then 1 of the second print and 1 of this Jen Bartel of the Avengers number 43. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take a look at these books. We're going to see if we can't figure out why these books didn't get a 9.6. And we'll even talk about whether or not we think that with the press we could send them back and get a 9.8, or if they'll probably never get a 9.8 no matter what we do. Let's go ahead and take a look at those books right now. First up, we have this Gwenum versus Carnage, the second print. I saw this little flaw right there. That could be a reason it didn't get a 9.8, but the back of this book just seals the deal. You see there's color rub there all along the spine. We had multiples of this book, so we were able to compare it to other ones, and this one was the only one that had this damage. This absolutely 100% takes it out of a 9.8. Next up, we have Avengers number 43, this Jen Bartel cover. You see that tiny little spine tick right there? That's one of the few flaws that I could actually find in this book. In addition, there's this little thing here that we have here along the spine, those two dots right there. That as well could be a reason that it did not get the 9.8. You don't see that very often. Next up, we have the first one of these Gwenum versus Carnage first prints. See that tiny little color-breaking spine tick right there? It's really small, but this is one of the few flaws that I could find in this book. But there was also this corner. Now, corner damage is often forgiven, but this is a little bit more blunted or just rubbed. It looks like it's almost split, so that probably is what took it out of the 9.8. Here we have the second copy of Gwenum versus Carnage, the first print. I want to show the back here real fast. There's a little bit of a color discoloration there. I don't think that's the reason that this got a out of the 9.8 range. It's probably this color-breaking spine tick that's right there. It's small, but it's there. It's apparent. Probably was the reason. In addition, this is the final copy of this first print. I just showed this area right here. There's no flaw there. I just want to show it as a comparison to the other backs of these books that we saw that did have flaws. But this one does have a color-breaking spine tick in the same place as that previous book. But this one is much smaller. It's a little bit hard to see. This picture's a little bit blown out with the board there as a background, but you see it there. There's also a little bit of color rub in there. It's all really minor, but I think it adds up to it not getting a 9.8. I want to take a moment to talk about this sticker that was on the bag that the raw rejected books were in when returned from CGC. This sticker has a receive date on it of 8/5/2021 and a due date of 9/16/2021. That due date is 6 weeks to the day from that receive date. I found this to be interesting. Basically, what it means is when CGC marks your books as received at grading, they then have a self-imposed 6-week period before they consider your grading due and done. Now, in Octavio's case, grading took less than this 6-week period by more than a couple of weeks. So that's great. They are beating their self-imposed due date. But what it means to me is that when you are looking at the status of your submission online and you see that it is being marked as received, you should know that it should take no more than 6 weeks before those books are graded and ready to be returned to you. All right, so I've said it before and I'll say it again. Every time I make one of these videos, I learn something. And that is very true in this video as it has been true in the other videos that I have made. Sometimes the thing I learned counteracts something that I thought I might have learned in a previous video. Now, I had heard people say before, and I'd seen it myself, that books can have flaws and still get 9.8s, and that is absolutely true. A 9.8 is by no means meant to be a perfect book, but there are some flaws that you just cannot count on CGC letting slide and still giving you a 9.8. And I believe that any noticeable color-breaking spine tick is the kind of flaw that is likely to take you out of the 9.8 category. And I want to reiterate, the photos that I put in this video were blown up and really focused on these flaws. These flaws were minor in a lot of cases, and yet they still got kicked back from being a 9.8. I also want to add they were so minor that I started flipping through the interiors of the book and really looking carefully for any kind of additional flaws that could take these books out of the 9.8 range, and I couldn't find anything. I showed you everything that I could find. So if you have books that you think, oh, maybe I can slide this tiny little color-breaking spine tick past the graders and still get a 9.8, don't take the risk. Don't bother. Find yourself a nicer book or just be happy with the 9.6 that you are likely to get with that type of flaw. So that's the end of this video. I want to take another moment to thank Octavio for volunteering his submission for this video and for the previous video. He has more submissions that are going to be coming back from CGC, so we'll be seeing more of his books again in the future. If you liked this video and you liked the information and you learned something, likes of course are appreciated by me. If you didn't like this video and you want to hit the dislike button, go ahead. Just put down in the comments why you dislike this video. I'm completely open to all criticism. In addition, if you haven't already subscribed, I recommend you subscribe and hit the notification bell because I do put these videos out at random and I don't think you're going to want to miss the next one. All right, thank you all so much once again for watching this video. I'll see you next time.